was coming in, she probably to at least put a quote together or answer some questions. So that was my win last week.
Sweet. So what was your original contact in the mall? What was your first?
One business in my existing book, or the book that I got. And nice. Then I think I've grown it. So I started out with one. I think I've grown it to 3. And then I got one that's pending. The salon needs earthquake coverage, I guess, at the mall, and nobody else will provide it. So I've given the lady the salon personally quote, emailed, did a follow-up phone call. I'm just waiting to get back to her. Hopefully it's something I can write.
So are they required to carry earthquake coverage?
Not like the clothing locations or anything, but just the I guess if you're a salon or you're working with, I don't know, you have people's heads in those little air dryer deals. Specific businesses need them.
That's a thing in the past, Devin. That's like for old ladies. We don't use those head dryers. Down to make a handheld Dyson. It's pretty.
I know.
$400 hair dryer.
I have a question, Devin. With the salon, so are they your client, the salon owners?
No, I have no business with them.
Okay, good. Okay, awesome. So here's the questions with salons, and you may know this, right? I may be preaching to the choir, but I just want to make sure everyone on the call is aware. Salons are great for getting some traction within the chair, right? So either or, whether the salon says, hey, you guys are coming in, we're employing you as employees. And even at that, even with that, there are business personal property that even though they're employees, there are certain pieces that are not covered. One of those is their own business personal property of their scissors, right? That they pay, thousands of dollars because this is their livelihood, is having a good pair of scissors. So it's great, even if they're employees, to get in there. Let's say you land the deal and you say, hey, you know what, I'd love to have a lunch and learn, or let me bring breakfast. Do you have a weekly meeting that you have with employees, or a monthly, or whatever that looks like? Can I come in, bring breakfast, or whatever it is, appropriate food? And I'd love to educate a little bit on ensuring, bits and pieces of highlights of insurance, what this entails and all of that. So it's really, that's gives you some traction within there. If they're independent contractors, that would be even a better, scenario, because they anything that would happen, somebody breaks, smash and grab or whatever, none of their stuff is covered if they're independent contractors, if they leave it there overnight. So a couple different, I love salons because it gives you access to so many people, and they need help. These people, they don't understand that. They just don't. They're like, hey, I just want clients and I want to cut their hair. That's what they know. Independent contractors, I'm renting a chair. This costs me, $1,000 a month. And how do I make my money back? They're not looking at protection. They're not looking at any of that stuff, in my experience. So salons are great. So good luck with that. And let me know if you need any ideas, because I just shared a couple with you. But I used to own a bookkeeping business when my kids were really little, and 2 of my clients, which were really good clients of mine, I did all their books, quarterlies, payroll, everything for them, were salons. And when I went over and became part of Country, I was in Vegas and they were up in Washington. And I called them and I said, hey, based on what I know now, you guys are exposed and you need some help with buy-sell agreement and funding that with life insurance. And because I had that, I was their bookkeeper. They trusted me 100%. They're like, you tell us what we need and we'll just do it. So I was able to help them create, an attorney created a buy-sell agreement, because both of them had 2 partners. And so I was able to help them create the buy-sell. Like, what if something happened to one of them? What would happen to the business? And then we funded that, the business owner life insurance, that helped fund that buy-sell agreement.
Cool.
So, yeah, salons are a gold mine, let me tell you.
All right.
Yeah, they are. All right, what else? What other success?
It feels kind of small, but also kind of huge. I finally got my business cards. So I've been going around and trying to, because it felt like going out to do all the shaking hands, especially with business owners specifically, and then but like, oh no, I'm fake. I don't have a card yet. I'm just saying hi. Like it felt
I have my
weird. So,
country shirt, you know.
yeah, I was like, believe me, please.
No, I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm an expert, right? That commercial, no one gets that commercial, you know?
I got
I must be old, okay.
But it just felt nice to like actually be going out because a huge part of my strategy is going to be, especially in such a small community, is going to be trying to build these connections and have like
Yeah.
as many people know my name and my face as possible. So that was like has yet to generate business because of it, but I can tell that that's the stepping stone to getting on to much further stuff. So that as small as it is, it felt huge, you know.
Jeremy, you have like the area of Sisters is such a gold mine. You know, I went out and helped Jeremy with a joint appointment on Friday afternoon. And, you know, lots of traffic going through there on Friday. So I kind of, like your dad came in and said he did the work, you know, the go around. That's exactly how I came in too. And I didn't realize like even the streets that are behind where you are, it's filled with businesses. There are so many businesses in Sisters. So, you know, as I was driving and even leaving, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for Jeremy. This is such a great area to be right smack in the middle of. And
It's all
Even
walking
though-
distance. That's
it
the thing,
is.
you know? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not wanting to drive. You can just walk up and down the street. Yeah.
so I'm excited to see, you know, the impact that you make in that area. I love you. All right, Nancy, or Jimmy, any success from last week?
I'll let Nancy go first.
Existing clients, called me last minute because he's buying an automotive shop from somebody who's retiring. So he gave me a whole 2 days to get that done for him. So that was a good win. We, on the day that I was in Grants Pass trying to work on that project. So he emailed me the photos. I was seriously multitasking, like from my car on the iPhone, trying to send photos, but got it done because he's moving in tomorrow. So that was, I would say, pretty good victory for him that I give mobile service while I'm on the go. And then I had 2 life appointments, 2 different nights. I decided to work 2 evenings because I was bound and determined to try to get some life. And I had a husband and wife couple come in Monday and they both did the application. So those are in the works. So I was happy about that. The other one on Wednesday evening, his wife wasn't feeling well, so he ended up coming by himself, which wasn't as good, but I gave him a folder with illustrations to take home, and I'm going to follow up and see if I can get them both to come back, you know, together. I think that would have been more beneficial.
Yeah.
But I tried, so
Right.
I'm in the work.
Control what you can. And the best thing about life apps and, you know, lots of motivation there to do so. So I love it. So let's just make sure everyone understands where you got those leads from.
Well, Andrew and his wife are existing clients. They were on my list that they do not have life insurance. They only have auto and a renter's policy with me. So I had talked to him about it several times and I could not get him to come. I mean, he kept saying, let me talk to my wife. So I was like, oh, I could work Saturday mornings. I'm, you know, I tried to play it off like, oh, I work 1 Saturday a month because if that's the only day that would work, I was like, come on. And he'd say, let me talk to her, I'll call you. And he would never call me back. And then I would email him, I would call him. And, yeah. Then Mandy helped me do some calls on those 2 days. And I, you know, she was having a little bit of traction. And I said, you know what, let's change gears here. Let's call the ones who I've had a conversation and I have provided them illustrations. Let's just do those. And so she did. And she got Andrew to come in. And I couldn't
That's
believe
so
it.
Cool.
I thought they were
Love
gonna flake on me. Even that morning, I text them, just want to make sure you're coming at 4:30. So, yeah, that helped. It was really nice to have some help, somebody helping me make the calls.
So it gave you a taste, Nancy, of, you know,
Yes.
having an assistant and the value in
Yeah.
that. And just handy, like, you have a whole book of business that are chock full of lists of people, you know, that whether you touch them every 2 months or whatever that may be, you know, your responsibility as an agent is really, hey, I'm going to be a bug in your ear. I'm going to be a rock in your shoe because I know that you express the need to me. All right. So I'm just doing my job. I'm following up and I will be able to sleep at night should something happen to you or anyone else in your family. Not that you want that to happen, right? But you'll be like, hey, I tried.
Right.
And I didn't give up, you know, until they actually tell you, do not call me anymore. I do not want life insurance. When I
What
hear
about-
that, when I
What
hear
about
that,
when they
I note
ghost
it.
you?
Well,
If
no,
they
you just
just
continue.
Really
You
bad.
have your process, whether it be once a month, whether then you extend it out, like you all should have some sort of, and it's up to you. I don't say you have to have a 10 touch process. But if it goes out to that, when it should at least be 5, you know. If your effort is, here's my touch 1, what does touch 2 look like? And what's the timing of that? Touch 3, 4, 5. You know, I had one when I was an agent, I have 7 touches. And they were kind of spread out, right? But I knew if I got to that 7th point, my message to them at that point was, look, I will follow up with you next year. I've put you in my books, but I have contacted you 7 times to try and, you know, follow up on the need that was expressed or that we uncovered, you know, so you'll hear from me again. I'm not going to give up, but I'll give you a little bit of a break, you know, and, you know, I kind of use humor, whatever, but it was, look, this was my job. So I don't care if they can ghost me all they want, but I'm going to follow up. And it's, you know, it always ended up that when they finally came back around and they would thank me for being persistent and consistent with my message. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, we feel like such flakes, but thank you for being persistent because we really need this. It would come at the perfect time when I needed it as well. Right. So, it's just having a lot of people in the funnel. So what do those, I don't know, what 5, 7, 10 touch points look like? Is it a call, an email, a text? And how spread out are they? And it's just being consistent of working that process and not having anything fall through your cracks, you know, of your process and making sure that it's consistent. It's all you can do. That's it. So good. I'm glad to hear the apps, you know, Rolling for Life apps. This is just about getting the apps in. Take my money. Jimmy, what about you? You have some good stuff going on.
Yeah, thanks to you. I was drowning in my car appointment, and she put quite a few lifesavers out there for me and held my hand.
Fun.
It was
fun.
yeah, so it was good. And then I had a closed finally my first PIF and BIF with a buddy of mine that was like just straight to the point and all that. And that's kind of how I've known him for years, and was like, yep, and I'm saving him money with better coverage. So that was really, really cool. And he was super excited. And I have other ones in the oven, so to speak, just kind of waiting to figure out how to do the servicing side, or how to get them in there and quote them, and understanding all the processes. Because, man, even taking a payment is a whole gambit of procedures when you've never done one. So I keep on learning.
Yep, you just keep on learning. Anyone have any encouragement for Jimmy based on, I mean, think back to your first month and having a book of business and trying to service and also going out and Jimmy is very well connected. So he literally has people coming out of his ears on opportunity. I'm not exaggerating. Like he does. People are like, "When can you quote?" So any encouragement for him on, feeling like the water's up here right now, other than my words from his peers, how can you help him?
I mean, as agents, we started on the same date, but it's not my first rodeo with country, and I remember those first couple of months, just
Oh,
how it's like, oh my gosh, all the computer systems, and the nice thing, I guess, for you, Jimmy, is for the most part, most of your policies are going to be all in the new systems. I was like a lot of the people I was working for, most of it's legacy, but then you still got to learn the new stuff, and everything's all crazy. So it's just practice, but use the I'm new excuse for as long as you can possibly milk it for, because it'll get you very far with the underwriters in the billing department too. Say I'm a totally new agent, I don't know what I'm doing, please help, and they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah. So
I have no problem saying that, that's for sure. And I've been using that already on there, like help me guide the process, and I'm trying to write it down as I'm going through. Just because it's, to me, I need to see it and do it more than just once. When somebody does it, like they're so fast, I'm like, man, I can't even keep up. Like I met up with Jeremy last week too, and he schooled me on Planner, which was amazing, like how to just keep my post-it notes as opposed to my notepad in there. And that was a huge thing. So thank you very much, Jeremy. Like,
you're welcome.
Well, let's transition now that we've kind of shared successes from last week. Let's transition into our Maxwell Daily Reader. So today is self-improving. We live in a society with destination disease. Too many people want to do enough to arrive and then they want to retire. My friend Kevin Meyer said it this way: everyone is looking for a quick fix, but what they really need is fitness. People who look for fixes stop doing what's right when the pressure is relieved. People who pursue fitness do what they should no matter what the circumstances are. People who are constantly improving themselves make 3 processes an ongoing cycle in their lives. Number 1, preparation. Self-improving team players think about how they can improve today, not some far off time in the future. When they get up in the morning, they ask themselves, what are my potential learning moments today? Then they try to seize those moments. At the end of the day, they ask themselves, what have I learned today that I need to learn more about tomorrow? Number 2, contemplation. I recently came across the following statement: if you study the lives of truly great individuals who have influenced the world, you'll find that in virtually every case, they spend considerable amount of time alone, contemplating, meditating, listening. Time alone is essential to self-improvement. Number 3, application. Applying what you've learned is sometimes difficult because it requires change. Most people change only when one of 3 things happen. They heard enough that they have to, they learn enough that they want to, or they receive enough that they're able to. Your goal is to keep learning so that you want to change for the better every day. That's from the 17 essential qualities of a team player. So the takeaway is learn something new today, reflect on what you've learned, and apply it as soon as possible. So, always a good nugget from Mr. Maxwell and all of he's written probably like 30 books. Like he has so much stuff out there. But all that, all of it can be overwhelming. You can ingest. But if you never be able to apply just kind of what he was talking about, if you're never able to apply that either with a client or a peer or, anyone who asks you for help, it does no good just sitting up here, right? I mean, you want it to be there to pull from when you need it, but application. All right. What else do we have today? What do you guys need help with? Is there anything specifically that you are struggling with? Is an obstacle? And again, this is a safe area, right? To just say, I don't care if you've been here for 5 years, there are still areas that you're not experts in or you need to help, to overcome. So is there anything on your list that you're like, I just need some help with this? Or how would you guys handle it? Or Maybe it's a system thing.
I'm learning how to read upside down. That's what I have been practicing a lot because I was like, what the heck? I've never done that. So I was like, oh man. And explaining all the coverages and when quoting a car appointment, I'm like, okay, here's the paper. And I'm like, okay, you got to go down like word for word and just following that procedure because I was like a squirrel jumping all over the place. I just need to follow everything down on the deck pages and just go in that order. Um, and Christine, you helped me out a lot on explaining, like going down everything and understanding all those coverages and explaining it. And sometimes, I'm new in this industry, so have a lot of doubt in my own abilities right now so if I can borrow your guys' other beliefs in me to help me get through this little rabbit hole, but it's just I had my cheat sheets and those, like you said, Christine, those just ended up hindering me as opposed to helping me. And I did feel that. And then going through this upside down with my wife, with my kids, with my dog, everybody, like I'm gonna even start going on the street. Hey, I need to explain this. Does this make sense? I'll just go on cold market for everybody. Does this make sense to you? But yeah, I mean,
You first, like we're in a joint work, we're in a joint appointment, so one of his clients, we meet, and so he has his sheet and they're going through theirs, but it's just so much easier if you just go off of what they're looking at and explain it, but you gotta be able to read upside down and practice. Did you guys actually struggle with that at all? I can't remember doing that.
I definitely, for me, when I was starting with insurance, it was easy because I usually had two monitors, so I'd turn one around and like just kind of, then you could look at it together. You can even do that sideways. So you're both looking at the same screen and you're pointing at something. But what really did that for me was working at the car dealership and presenting they call it the pencil when you sit down with what the terms are going to be and all that kind of stuff, and presenting a pencil and being able to spin that around and kind of, but it's kind of like everything else. It's a muscle memory thing. It's like just knowing if I flip through page 2 is where the deductibles are probably going to be for this car, and like knowing, yeah, okay, here's the liability, here's the deductibles, here's where safety glass sits, stuff like that.
so just clarifying, Jeremy, you don't want me to go to a car dealership, right? No.
Nancy, were you gonna say something?
Well, you could always print one for you if you want to do it with paper, and but if you want to point and kind of go line by line, I think what Jeremy said, use your monitor, and then you don't have to have it printed and be reading upside down, I think everybody's different, just find something that works for you. You don't have to read upside down if you don't want to.
Well, we were in Starbucks. We were in Starbucks. Yeah. We were out. Yeah. Out meeting though. Yeah. Makes sense. You couldn't have a monitor. Well,
So
there was, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say something while I'm still feeling like I'm getting my sea legs on the car appointments, because I still every time I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I get everything right, even though I know it ends up being like a half-an-hour conversation about, okay, here's your coverage, just want to change anything, right? Let's talk about life a little bit. I'll sit there for probably 20 to 30 minutes before and be like, okay, this is everything they've got, and like circle or highlight key things. And that for me, like just doing that, like I basically kind of run through it all in my head before they even sit there, so they already know what I'm gonna say rather than trying to figure it out with them while we're both sitting there. That helps too.
I go way too long every time. Like I have no no structure within the time. Like mine goes sideways. I think it has to do with my personality, like talking, getting off track, like doing like jumping around like a squirrel, and like one of mine was like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like that's just outrageous. Like my whole morning was shot. And then I had so much work to do after he left because we found so many things that were incorrect, that like I was going through the replacement cost with a fine tooth comb, and like that in itself took a half an hour just talking to him. And he was an older gentleman and he wanted to like draw me a diagram and give me all the details about things that like I really didn't need, but it was like every time mine if I dive in that much, it just takes so long. So I don't know what to do about that. Like, is that because I'm doing things that I need to do and I have to ask about the roof or, there was just so many things like on some of break that I'm having to correct. It's like, oh, they don't have a tile roof. And he's like, why is that insured for 150,000? It's a little small guest house. So it's like all this like follow up to my cars is taking me a ton of time to circle back to like fix stuff that I'm waiting for information, or he was gonna go home and measure. Like sometimes I want to smack myself, like, why are you so detailed? Because you're like causing yourself more aggravation. Like that's the kind of stuff I do with my clients, and it's just taking way too much time.
I think you have to, and obviously we're assigned clients, so you're not gonna know until they walk in the door and you sit down with them and you start going through it. But that's probably the area where I let the clients drive the amount of detail that you're gonna go into. Because it's all about them, right? This is all about making sure that they feel like they are getting value by paying country to take on their risk, right? That's what they're doing. And so for you to get as detailed as they need to get, now you can explain, hey, you know what? If we have it just this way, like that is sufficient for the underwriters. So we're good on that. We don't need an exact unless you want to give it to me. Like it's totally up to you, but we don't need to dive into that much detail because this is really the level that we need in order to make sure it's insured properly. I don't know. That's a little bit of, pushing that off a little bit, but it's, hey, I let the client dictate. And if that client found value, Nancy, in spending 2 hours with you, now luckily you didn't have another appointment that you had to get to, and maybe you would have said that ahead of time, but
right, then I would have had to change my.
Right.
I just had 50 other things that I needed to.
No, I know.
No,
But if he left there and found value in you spending time with him and going through that, and the ultimate goal is to make sure that they're properly insured based on the risk that is exposed, so you feel good about what you did, feel good. Like that was a great, and that experience he's going to take and he's going to tell other people, making sure that you're telling him, hey, if you found a lot of value in what I did for you today, this is what I do for my clients. So take advantage of that opportunity as well. But I don't ever think spending more time with your client is a bad thing. I just don't. Because it's about relationship, and if you are getting having to clean up a bunch of stuff from previous agents that either dropped the ball or whatever happened, great opportunity to help people. Thank goodness nothing's happened when you're finding all these errors.
Right.
Thank goodness they have you.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And one of them, like he had 4 rentals, his primary home, his auto. He wanted me to, we talked about umbrella, so I was quoting that. So I mean, some of these it's kind of self-induced. Like, what do I do? Like that's how much stuff he has. I have to go through each house with him, but
And that takes a while. I was in an appointment with Jeremy, our first one, and how much that was, an hour and 45 minutes because they had how many 3 or 4 rentals as well.
Yeah, that's you almost need to schedule 2.5 hours. Yeah, like 15 minutes per house to talk about it. Yeah,
So like 30 minutes talking about their conversion van and.
Yeah. But that was important to them. Like they were so thankful that you spent that much time going through all of that, because how many you have to think back on how many like appointments or situations they find themselves in, whether they go to the dentist or the doctor or whatever. This is a financial type of checkup, making sure that everything's correct. How many times do they get to spend that much time with one of those people? No. All right, let's get out. Yeah. I don't have enough time for your questions, or you could ask me one. So you stand out where it helps. So, yeah, I like that you go into the detail, Nancy.
He did say, I like your enthusiasm. So I guess that's good. I seem
Right.
enthusiastic about wanting to fix it all and help, so maybe I should have asked for a referral. Dang it, I ran out of time, but I should have asked him at the end, but we're still working on it, so maybe I'll ask next time I talk to him.
Yeah. You get everything that you had to work on wrapped up and, explain to him the changes and all that, then that's for referral, yeah.
Well, if I had an assistant, she could be helping with the service work while I was doing my cards, so. Be nice.
Yep. All four of you. Assistants. Need assistants, yes.
I second that 100%.
Right.
All right. What else? What other, is anyone else struggling? with anything the group can help with?
For me, my biggest struggle point right now is finding good, like either existing clients in my book or how to have these conversations in a car about setting up life appointments or selling life or broaching life, because I don't really have a lot of experience with that. And while I am passionate about it conceptually, and I think life insurance is very important, I still feel very green as far as it comes to the specifics of it, and then going into specifics of it, like having, because if it's somebody who I can just be like, yeah, you've got a mortgage, you have a term policy, that's easy because they don't want to think about it. But if it's somebody who expects nuanced opinion about these things, like why this one versus that one, and that little thing. So I guess kind of figuring out what to say in those situations and how to even find those clients in the first place is my current struggle point, because I know I got to get the life to get up on the PC grid. So
Be advice.
When you,
Have Christine role play with you, because she did that with me about a need and showing me how to figure out their need, and I tried to use that on Monday. She's your best person to, you be the agent, have her be the client, and then flip it around, because she'll give you things that you can use and help figure out, show people what the difference is between whole life and term. And I think you have Christine's really good at it, so utilize her skills.
I'm definitely going to. I think we're going to be doing that a little bit tomorrow. So yeah.
I second that. It comes smooth, natural. There's no cheat sheets. It's all just how she's having the conversations, but just putting in the reps and having it, 15 years to my little month and a half is,
Right, and Jimmy, that's the point, right?
right.
I did not come out of the womb, right? Per se, being as fluid and knowledgeable and all of that. Like, I've had 16 years of doing this, and hundreds of coaching sessions and hundreds of role plays, like all of that, whether it were in front of an agent or one of you helping you, right? So I pretty much know every scenario, every question that somebody would ask, all of that. If you ask me, the IUL is probably my sticky point right now. Even I have questions as a client with an IUL for my agent. But those are the things that create knowledge, is when, all right, if you were on the other, this is what I always say, if you were on the other side of the desk from yourself, like you were the client, also the agent, what would you have to say to convince yourself, or what questions would you have? What would a whole life illustration? But as you go through it, what questions come to your mind? Because you're not unlike any other client. They're going to think the same. There's pieces, we all have different personalities, where some are very analytical, some aren't, but if Jeremy, I know you're super analytical and really like to dive into the details so you want to be prepared if that were to happen. So if you create a quote on yourself and then trying to present it yourself as the client, what questions would you have? Like, those are all things that you can kind of work on yourself to be prepared. And then if you don't know the answer as in the agent, that's where we dive in. And we say, okay, what questions did you have as a client? What stands out to you here? What do you not know? So we can get those answered. So I was even, first time doing an application as an agent, I always did one on myself. Even if it wasn't a product that I was going to, secure for myself, I would take it all the way to the point where I could hit delete, but at least I experienced that as a client, emailing myself the signatures and doing all of that so that I knew the process of what the client would experience, also what I as an agent was experiencing on my end. So I would help both those things.
Yeah, I still encounter little things like at the end when you go to make the payment, like the payment box is missing. Like you can't, it's like a known issue, but then you have to like get all the way out and then you have to wait for it to load. You can't run their payment while they're sitting there. So that's an issue. So I was kind of like getting sweaty, like, oh my gosh, like how long is this going to take? So let me do yours while we're waiting to do that. Let's just jump to the next one. But like, you have to kind of improvise because there's still little glitches with the new system where the payment, like it says, make a payment now and you click the green box and then there's no place to put the payment in.
So like you said, when you did some research on that,
Yeah.
it was a known issue, right?
Yeah.
So is there a workaround for that other than, did you just explain the workaround that they kind of helped you with, or?
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like they've corrected it. So you have to go all the way back out and then go back in, but it takes some time. It has to be, after you hit submit to underwriting, then, you have to wait a little bit. Like it's not available to make the payment. So on the last time when this first happened to me, I had to call her the next morning and wait and then do it the next day to bind coverage, and then I did the payment. This one, luckily they were sitting there for so long that it was fine.
It loaded.
It loaded because we kept talking and I was trying to buy myself time and I kept clicking on it and I was like, oh, here we go.
So here's an idea. All right. So when you get to that point where you take that payment, you have that known issue, right? Where you get faced that again. Okay. So maybe this is where you say, okay, while we're waiting for that payment box to load, let me set you up with some expectations of what you can experience if you get chosen to have some underwriting done. Right. So here's what that's going to look like. So at that point, while you're waiting for all of that to happen, you say, okay, my workaround to try and buy me some time is I'm going to explain this piece of it that they need to make sure and know, which makes sense that at that step, you would say, here's the next steps of what you'll experience. So it's, having inserting something that buys you some time that completely makes sense to the client that you need to go over with them anyway.
Yeah, and my advice, even after you submit the application, you really have to do a little bit of hand holding because, like, for instance, his wife was very diligent. She followed my instructions, did the interview, she did the next step, but like the husband's like 5 days behind. Like I didn't get anything on his end. So then I sent him a text, just wanted to make sure you received that in your email. If you prefer, you can do it over the phone because it was like, trying to get these done this month, but if he's lagging and he didn't do it, then if he doesn't now schedule exam 1, they both are requiring, labs and all of that. So it's like, it's a process. You got to really watch it and then keep, following up so they don't forget to do it. They can let a week go by with work. Oh, I don't have time to do it. And then it's like next week and then you won't get it done within the month. It'll be next month. So it's definitely in addition to all the other things we have on our plate, it can be a little overwhelming. There's just a lot of things right now. At least for me, I'm feeling like my head's spinning. It's just, I'm trying to get a grip on this, but it just feels like I'm doing the job of at least 2 people. Like I'm just not feeling like I'm doing great at anything because I'm trying to do everything, if that makes sense. And it's just hard some days where I came in yesterday because I had to. I felt like my week will not start out right if I don't get caught up from the things I didn't finish, So, but then I kind of walked in this morning and I could tell I was just not as peppy I was like, who left this mess on my desk? For doing that, but I guess I did that. I just, I'd had enough, you know? So it's hard.
It won't, you know, these,
Motivated.
let me give you some encouragement, right? At this stage of your business, I mean, for how long, you, all four of you have been in, if right, you should feel overwhelmed. You should feel like, all right, what, did I do that? Did I not? Like, how do I keep track of all this? Number one, because none of you have an assistant, right? So you know there's a need for all of you because you have a signed book to actually have somebody helping you take the service work off at the very least, something even part-time if you can, you know, based on the agreement. So, you know, at the very least, have that to take some of those pieces that you're like, why am I doing $20 an hour work when my time is worth $100 an hour, whatever that may be, you know? But there are, you won't always feel this way, right? It will get better because you're going to get more diligent at delegation and delegating that when you have somebody helping you and really coming up with, here's what I do, and here's my lane, here's your lane, and let's make sure that, you know, we're stellar in both of those lanes, what we're supposed to be doing. But Nancy, believe me, I mean, some of you got emails from me yesterday too. Like it was, I feel the same way. I'm like, my list is too long. I don't want to walk into the office and have this much stuff to do tomorrow, you know? So.
Yeah, it's like you take 5 things off the list and then add 10. That's how I feel. It's like literally growing every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get it crossed
Well,
off.
here's the thing. Thank goodness that's the problem,
That's
and
good,
it's not.
right.
It's
Right.
not. Oh my gosh, nobody's calling me. I don't have nobody's responding. I can't get any traction.
Yeah,
Like, let's look at it.
no, I agree.
Right.
That's a bad problem to have. So I be grateful. Count our blessings. We have so much service work. So many people who can't make their payments on time. Those just drive me nuts. Like, oh, Road didn't get the check there in time, and now the policy needs to be reinstated without a lapse because the lender, you know, then I have to call them. I mean, those kinds of things. Like seriously, like probably because someone making $20 an hour should be doing it, not me. But it makes me nuts because that's so time consuming. I know it's between other things.
Here's how I want to reframe this just a little bit. All right, look at it. Even those things are so like they're just like you know, a thorn in your side every day. Look at it as an opportunity to contact the client, right? Just reframe it in your mind. Just because, and so if that's the case, if you're calling them for the payment, make sure there's something additional to that. Whereas, hey, if I have to call you because you didn't make your payment, then I'm actually going to ask you for something. All right. And whatever that may be, whether it's you've been trying to, like you look at their account and say, hey, you know what, they don't have any life insurance with me. I'm going to take this opportunity while I, you know, calling him about the payment that he missed and, you know, doing all that and make a joke out of it and say, hey, if you're putting me to work in this way, because you didn't make your payment, now we got all this, you know, run around. Hey, you don't have any life insurance with me. Who is helping you with your life insurance?
Yeah. You know, you owe me an app for having a claim.
Exactly.
Exactly. You need your life insurance. Then they won't pay that. I don't trust them.
Nancy, we gotta end with a positive. Come on.
All right. Okay, I'll sell them something else.
Right.
Say, hey, you're auto pay. They're gonna go auto
making me
pay.
call you. You're making me call you, so I'm gonna get something else out of you. You take my time, I'm gonna take yours. I mean, it's just like, yes, you gotta look at it that way. It's an opportunity.
Fill out my time. Okay, well,
Yes.
I'm working on my lapse listing. So they're up to yesterday.
Portion of our meeting, and let's get caught up on your activity. So I'm going to share my desktop and let this fill this in for this week. All right, Nancy, you're going to go first since you're on the top here. Life premium is, and let's just say written. So this is written at life premium. Yep.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, I did 2 life appointments, And then I had 5 PIPs and VIFs. One was through broker, or another one with brokerage, but that doesn't really
Okay.
count. That took some of my time. And then,
Let's count it for us, right?
I
So
mean, it's-
we can do whatever we want. So even though
Yeah,
it's
I did a-
brokerage,
there's
then
a
it can't-
manufactured home.
yeah, we're gonna count that for us.
Okay.
Yes.
I did 3 cars last week. I had just 2 referrals.
Okay.
I could remember. And then I went to my network in action meeting because that was on Tuesday.
Very cool. And then you said you wrote 2 life apps, right?
Right, so do you mean the premium of that?
Yeah, so how much potential premium do you have?
It was about 3,000 because I did the return of premium rider.
Awesome,
Yeah. Should be about.
very cool. So were they hopeful, like they liked that, the return of premium?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
It was hard because I'm so trained on like, oh, if they have a mortgage, it's mortgage protection. What would you do if your husband died? You can pay off your mortgage, but they were renting. So then it kind of like had to change, they didn't have really any debt and they were renting and they haven't bought a house yet, but they do have a little son. So, I tried to figure out, do they have a need? Could she pay the rent if something happened to him? Could he pay the rent if they're at, when you have 2 incomes? So,
Income protection, that's what
Yeah.
that is.
yeah.
That's the main reason why people do life insurance, is replace income, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to those 4, replace income, college education, if they have a son.
Yeah.
Do you want to use life insurance in the future to pay for that should something happen to you? In their situation, they don't have a mortgage, so no debt, or leave a
Yeah.
legacy. Leave a
Yeah.
legacy and those are, so you did great. Doesn't matter if they're a rent on the mortgage thing. Yeah, that's an easy pivot. So very good. Awesome. All right, Devin, you're up.
No life premium, 1 life appointment. I think 2 PIF fifths, and then I had 3 cars last week. And then 1 referral.
Awesome. Any specific marketing or networking activity that you did
Yeah,
last week?
I followed up with one of the companies I'm trying to write through brokerage. It's just getting a little, it's just been a lot of back and forth on it. It's a cold pressed juice business. They're trying to do grocery or deliveries to supermarkets or grocery marts 3 times a week, and then they want to have booths at farmers markets. The farmers or the Rogue Valley markets is what I'm going to target next. So I got in contact with those guys, look about sponsorship and setting up a booth there, because I thought that'd get me in contact with a lot of business owners and people that farmers. I need 1 more farm policy.
Sweet.
To do that. So I've had some conversation with them and talking about the cold press juice business. I took the time. The lady was very nice, so I took the time to just kind of write an email, just saying how knowledgeable she was, and then followed up with the Jackson County Expo about getting a booth there, just to get me in front of more people. So those are the 2 networking locations. I know for sure I'm going to do the Rogue Valley market one. It's just a matter of how much time's actually left in the season and what
Right.
prorated for something for me to do, and then see what I can do with the county expos, because I was there one time and there was like a progressive guy there, and I just didn't think it was a bad opportunity to collect phone
Yeah.
numbers and email addresses and do a little raffle to promote my other businesses I'm insuring and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Love it. And I think you cut out on the life premium. So with the life appointment, did that produce any apps?
No, didn't get an app from it, no.
Okay. Well, good job on that. I love the focus on connecting that to the farm, needing 1 more farm to be certified. So that's awesome. I love this stuff. Like just the the nature of that. The cold pressed juice, like that's so interesting to me too. So now that we know that, anyone else that comes across that knows that you're the expert in that field right now because you're learning all the stuff. So awesome. All right, Jimmy, any life premium written last week?
No, not yet, but I'm gonna do my
Okay.
kids. Yeah, no life appointments. I am PIF. So does that count as one person that I close? That's where I'm kind of confused. Like he has one homeowners and then he has like 4 other autos.
So
Is
there's
that
5 PIF right there. So you got the policy you got a PIF for the home policy. And then you get each vehicle. So you got 4 PIFs,
okay?
right? So you got
Yes.
5 with more on the docket for this week.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
And,
All right, we did 1 car
yep.
and
Actually,
referrals.
so I run into people throughout the town, and it was an old timer who's 71 years old, finally retiring. I told him it's about time. And he ends up finding out that he has a lot more commercial, and he was with farmers, and this was in Sisters, unfortunately, but he's like has other commercial property, so I'm gonna be kind of trying to schedule a time when I come back from California to just go through and say, hey, give me a shot to writing all of your policy. Let me see what there's any gaps in your policy or in your coverages.
So you got 1 referral, he referred himself to you?
Yeah, I referred him to me. So
Yeah, there you go. Any specific networking or marketing that you did last week that
no,
wasn't client related? Okay.
no.
You'll get there. I mean, that's like the next kind of, once you get your head above water,
Yes.
let's look at here's the thing. Yes, starting that right now, you have enough connections in the community with real estate agents and lenders and things like that, just people you know. So right now you're exploiting that as much as possible.
Right.
On the marketing side, like I don't believe you should shift into that yet. You don't need to right now.
I think it's just
So,
too much overwhelming.
yeah.
If anything, I would look into that leads group, like you were saying, that one-on-one connection, and like
Yeah.
the one that Nancy's involved. I think that would be more beneficial in showing up. But
Yeah.
there's so on those leads groups, there's usually just one profession per industry in those, right? So if there's an insurance
There's an
agent.
opening.
Okay.
There's an opening maybe for property casualty. There might be an opening for a life specialist if they separate them out. And sometimes it's like financial advisor. That's like the 3 that we would look at from country.
Okay.
So sometimes commercial as well as separate from property casualty as well. So, all right, Jeremy, any written life activity?
So I'm at zeros for life on both of them, unfortunately. And then for PIF, I didn't write anything last week, but I have a lot of irons in the fire with some homeowners that I'm working back and forth with like defensible space and stuff like that. For cars, I had 2. And let's see, one of those homeowners was a referral from an existing client that I'm working on, trying to go on the back and forth with.
Awesome.
And then as far as the marketing networking, that was just me doing introductions with local businesses last week. So just putting a face to the name, introducing myself.
Prospecting. All right. Well, very good. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing here. Well, hopefully you guys are we're at 9:59. Like this was great.